Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today I'm going to talk about a new piece of terminal tackle that came out for the Bassmasters Classic that, and honestly, I think is the best nail weight that's on the market. It's the best weight for your NACO rigs, but has so many more uses than that. I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways that I like to use this. It's the new Picasso Tungsten NACO weight. Now, there's a lot of functions to this, or a lot of different things to this that make it so great. Now, the first and foremost, if I show you one that's not in a worm, it's this guy right here. So it's a tungsten. It's basically a half moon tungsten ball with a centering pin hitchhiker that comes out of the middle of it. Now, so many good things about this. First and foremost, the tungsten to me is a really big key anytime you're talking about not just nail weights, but your NACO weights specifically. I love to have a tungsten nail weight coming out of the bottom of my NACO worm because when that goes along the bottom, it just makes a high pitched sound. To me, that high pitched sound generates additional strikes. It gets interest from fish. It draws fish from further away, specifically if I'm fishing around hard bottom areas. Now, if I'm fishing soft bottom areas, it does not make nearly as much impact. But if you're fishing around any sort of rock or hard packed sand, or potentially even like dock posts or hard wood that you're working that up and around, that hard tungsten just makes a much different sound than a traditional lead NACO weight or nail weight. And to me, I love that sound. I have had so many different experiences over the years where throwing a tungsten bait, whether it's a jig, an actual like flipping jig on rocky banks, or maybe it's a wacky worm with a NACO style wacky rigged worm, or maybe it's a shaky head that's a tungsten bait. If I'm fishing hard bottom areas, I feel like I get double the number of bites with tungsten versus a lead head in those instances. And, obviously you get the additional decreased size with the same weight that you would have compared to lead. So if you got an 1/8 ounce lead sinker versus an 1/8 ounce tungsten sinker, the tungsten sinker is going to be about half the size of the lead. So generally that does a lot of positives as well. But having the centering pin as well in this tungsten gives you the benefit of the tungsten, but it also gives you the benefit of the centering pin, which allows you to mount it perfectly straight into your worm every time. And in my opinion, the hitchhiker with the centering pin there gives you better holding power than any other form of nail weight. So from that standpoint, you lose less weights. You have the benefits of the tungsten. You get the benefits of the centering pin. So it makes it an obvious choice for your NACO rigged worms. But that's not the only way I like to use it. And before I even go into these other variations, I want to actually point out that not only do they have one that comes with the smaller hitchhiker, they also have a version that comes with a larger hitchhiker for even more holding power. And you can get them in different colors. So they've got a chartreuse one, they've got a black one, or a gunmetal, I think is the actual color. But the point is, you can actually match it up and have like that chartreuse one gives you just a little bit of pop. If maybe you're fishing around smallmouth, they love that. Spotted bass love it. Just something a little different than some of your other nail weights that are out there, and it can just give a whole different look to your NACO rigged worm. But again, so many more advantages to having this style of nail weight or NACO worm weight, screw in weight, versus some of the other ones that are on the market. So some of the things that I like to do with it, and I've done videos on this before, I really like to use a screw in tungsten weight for my underspins. It creates a clacker sound. So when I'm retrieving this through the water column, if I want a little different sound, you can probably hear it. That blade just barely clicks off of that and it'll create sound and it'll create deflection. So instead of having a perfectly rotating blade, that blade will hit that, it'll stop, it'll give it a different look. Plus I can add some additional weight to my underspins, and that just allows me to fish it deeper. It also generally allows me to have my bait more horizontal in the water column. Really nice feature, and having that hitchhiker allows for very easy screw-in access and great holding power, so you're not going to lose any of those little nail weights anytime you're talking about fishing an underspin in that fashion. Along the same lines, Something that I love to do, and I've talked about this as well over the years on the channel, is I like to take a swim jig or maybe a vibrating jig or a spinner bait. And if I want to add just a little bit of weight, I'll take a nail weight and screw it into the trailer. So you can see I've actually taken one of these and I've screwed it right into the kind of that crease that's in the actual trailer in itself. This is a Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. So you can see it fits right down into there. And it just allows me to add a little bit of weight. So maybe I'm fish in an area where the grass is a little deeper and I want to keep my bait down, great way to do it. Maybe I'm fishing an area where I've got a vibrating jig bite and I just want to get it a little deeper, but I don't want to go up to a bigger head size because I know in my personal experience, if I go to a bigger head size, say from a half ounce to a 3/4 ounce, I don't feel like I get the same hunting action. Well, maybe I can go add a 1/8 ounce nail weight into my bait, which allows me to keep the smaller head size, which allows me to have better hunting action, more erratic action with my vibrating jigs. And it just allows me to use the same profile, but add a little bit of weight. Great way to do it with your vibrating jigs. Spinner bait's another great thing to do it with. A lot of times I have trouble keeping my spinner baits down. I can add a little bit of weight into my trailer and that will help me do it. And these are great for that because you can screw them in and screw them out. You can add them exactly where you want it. The tungsten allows you to add more weight for the same size. Just a really easy tip. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you, and this is another little hidden little secret with your frogs, is you can actually screw these into the back of your frogs. And a lot of your frogs, especially like this one, a swamp lord, actually has a little air hole. You can take that centering pin and put it right up into that air hole, screw it onto your frog so the actual corkscrew portion goes through the plastic or rubber finish. This thing will never come out. And because it's through the air hole, you can still squeeze it and push the air and water out like you would. But the reason I love this is because if you're fishing a little bit heavier mats and you want to add a little bit of plastic or a little bit of weight to your baits, you can do it and your frog will actually sit more upright, nose up, pushing the back of the mat down, allowing the fish a better opportunity to locate your bait. And then because the weight's also always in the rear of the bait, it allows the fish to suck it in easier. Now you can a lot of people will add weight into their frogs, and this is something that I've done in the past. But when you do that, or you add rattles and things like that, and you also can potentially block the gap in the hook, depending where those rattles or weights end up in your frog if they're under one of the hooks when you go to set the hook. So by putting, in this case, the tungsten NACO weight in the rear of the frog, you can actually keep the weight centered in the back of the bait and allow the bait to sit more upright in the water. Really good frog tip. That's something I've been doing over the last, I'm going to say, a year and a half, and having really good success with my frogs. I can show you more about that in the summer once our ice melts off the lakes here. But just go check them out. If you like nail weights, if you like using a NACO worm, or you want to have the opportunity to add a little bit of additional weight or a little bit of additional sound to some of your baits, you really should check out these new Picasso tungsten NACO weights. They're really nice. They just got them at Tackle Warehouse. I actually think they're still pre-order, but you can order them so when they come out, you'll have them faster than anybody else. I'll put the link in the video description. Nail weights are such an important part of my fishing arsenal. I keep so many of them in my tackle box. It's pretty ridiculous because of how versatile they come in and how handy they are for me. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. We'll have a new one coming out tomorrow for you.